Hey guys, it's Julie, and in this video I'm going to show you how I created this beautiful autumn wreath using a few simple materials from the dollar store, as well as a few materials that I got at the thrift shop. All in all, I spent less than $10 to create this, this wreath, which will give my house a nice festive fall look on the front door. So hang in and I'll show you how easy this was to create. So the materials that I used for this wreath include some burlap ribbon and some printed burlap that I bought at the dollar store, a pair of scissors, some twine, more than I will need, but this is the stuff that I used, my glue gun and lots of refills. Then for the wreath form, I'm using, or I should say I'm recycling this styrofoam ring, which I had done a Christmas wreath on a few years ago that faded. So what I've done is I just pulled off all the embellishments, and it's a little bit beat up looking, but no one will ever see it once it's covered with the new stuff. So that is saving me a lot of money right there. Then finally, for all of the fall embellishments, I picked up this basket of pumpkins and gourds and pine cones and and berries. I bought this at the secondhand shop for $3, and it's a lot more than what I'll be needing for this wreath, but it's in really good shape, and then I'll use the rest for another craft another time. So those are essentially the items that I used to create this wreath. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to take my glue gun, and I'm going to start wrapping the wreath form with the burlap. So I'm going to give a little bit of glue on the end here, and I'm going to stick that anywhere on the ring. And once that's pretty firmly on there, I'm going to start wrapping pretty tightly. All the way around the ring. And as you can see, this step is going pretty quickly. Now, because this wreath form is like a dark gray color, it's covering, the burlap is covering quite nicely. If you were, and it's not showing through, if you were working with a brand new white styrofoam wreath frame, you might want to go over it a second time just so that the white doesn't show through. And there we go. So once that's nice and covered, I'm going to take my scissors, clip the back, then I'm going to take my glue gun again, and I'm going to secure it on the back here where no one will see. And I'll let that dry for a second. And now comes the fun part, looking through all my embellishments and seeing what exactly I want to put on here. Okay, so I've gone through my basket of autumn treats, and I've picked out a few things that I think will look great on this fall wreath. So now I'm going to glue them on one by one, piece by piece, and sort of layer as we go. So the first thing, I picked some strands here with glittery leaves and berries. So I'm going to take my glue gun and start with those. And what I'm going to do here is start maybe sort of layering underneath the wreath, the burlap here, for sort of some extra security. And then once those are in, I'll put some hot glue to further secure it. It also hides the ugly part, the stems. That's why burlap is so nice to work with, because you still have the holes that you can kind of put glue down and it will get easily through it. Okay. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now I think I'm going to take this gourd, or maybe a pine cone. Maybe a pine cone. Excuse me. And this pine cone's kind of nice because again, it has a little spike. So I'm going to layer that with glue, and I'm going to stick it into the same area. And I'm also going to put glue underneath and make a nice sort of bed on which to stick the pine cone. Okay, and I can always add more hot glue if I don't find that that is firm enough. Now I'm going to go for this little pumpkin, and again it has a stick, which I may as well use since it's there. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to jam this down. Can I? Maybe I'll open up a little hole with these scissors. Make it a bit easier. There we go. And once I kind of get it in there we go. I can hot glue gun the bottom of the pumpkin to make it stick on there better. And that just adds a little bit of extra support. So that's kind of a nice center embellishment on the bottom of the wreath. I like a little bit of symmetry, so I put the biggest one sort of right in the middle. And then I'll kind of keep layering as I go. I'm going to put this gourd on next, and that's a pretty small spike, so I'm going to just jam it right in here. And again, glue gun down the bottom. Okay, and now I think I'm going to take this other gourd. Now this doesn't have a spike, but it's got a nice flat side. So I'll probably just layer it, just glue the whole thing down like this. Or maybe it's time for a smaller pine cone. Yeah, I like that. That's some nice balance right there. The pine cone has a spike. So I'm going to jam that in, make a hole. Again, you don't need to have the spike. It's just since it's on this, I may as well. Okay, it's pretty good. And then I will glue gun down the bottom. Crunch, crunch. Seems pretty secure. Then I'm going to take the gourd. And that seems like a good side right there. So I will just layer this with lots of glue because it doesn't have a spike. So I got to make sure the glue really sticks. And maybe even more than that. Now I think I'm going to add a few more little pine cones. What do I have else from this wreath? That's a smaller one. Maybe fill a hole right here. Again, I'm going to try to embed this spike into the burlap. And add some glue underneath to make it more firm. Really a generous dollop of glue there. Okay, seems to be well on. What else do I have? Also a little bit of moss on these, which I don't need. Maybe another pine cone right here. Okay, that's looking really nice. What else do I have here? I have a few fall leaves and another small pumpkin, which is really cute. These little leaves are good for filling the cracks. First of all, I guess maybe I'll put the pumpkin right there. I find these projects require lots of glue sticks. else? What else do I have in my basket of goodies here? Cute. I have a little teeny pine cone and some more brightly colored leaves, which I'll snip off and stick in. There's a nice red one. Another. And another. And this tiny pine cone. And we're getting there. We are almost done. I think this one looks really nice here. I'm going to add a leaf in there to kind of hide the stems. And maybe, another red leaf there. That looks good. And a little pine cone. Maybe right here. That fills a nice little gap there perfectly. And I have a couple more leaves. Looking at where it might fit. It's kind of faded. I feel like there's some gaps here that could be filled. No. Yeah, maybe a couple more leaves in here. I have a splash of red there, and one there, maybe something right around the middle. That looks good. That's there. And then maybe this larger one in here. That looks good. And maybe I find this is a bit of a bare patch here, so I'm going to add another leaf right there. Right there, and I'm actually going to glue down the end here. And sort of wrap it around the form a little bit. And maybe do the same thing here with one last leaf. Okay, so I think I'm done sticking the embellishments on. Now it's time for the ribbon. Okay, so I've moved my wreath out of the way, and now I'm going to focus on making the ribbon and the hanging ribbon, which is how I'll get it onto my front door. So I have about 1.5 meters here of the printed burlap, and I have a small piece of twine. And so what I'm going to do is make a nice big loop, like so. And another equal loop, and then a smaller loop, and then the same size smaller loop. So it looks sort of like this. And then I'm going to take my twine and really loop it around a few times. And tie it in the back. Tie it tight. And double or triple knot it. There. Okay, so there is my bow. So that is going to be at the very top of the wreath. And the last step is to take another piece of the printed burlap, and I'm going to fold this double. I'm actually going to tie this in the back. That's really going to secure my bow. And one more time, once I make sure that it's in the place that I like. So then I'm going to take my scissors and trim, actually just trim that excess off. And then I'm going to secure that a little bit more with my glue gun. So that knot will stay forever tight. I'm going to trim off a few extra threads. The nice thing about using a glue gun is that materials dry instantly. So as soon as I was finished, I took my wreath out and hung it right away on a magnetic hook on my front door. It looks bright and festive, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you liked this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe because I load up a new craft video every week that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching and keep on crafting.